So Takashi Miike, he has made a lot of movies, and we're well over 100 at this point. And he just randomly dropped one here on Netflix today, and so we got up this morning, we watched it. It's called Lumberjack the Monster. Yeah, that's the translation anyway. Mm-hmm. And we're here to talk about it. I've seen quite a few of his films, from Itchy the Killer to Audition to Visitor Q to 13 Assassins. To, I've probably seen 10 or 15 of his movies, but nowhere near all of them. I mean, I don't know how many people have seen all his movies. I don't even know if he's seen all his movies. I mean, he has so goddamn many. But anyway, this is one I was looking forward to just because, I like most of what I've seen of his. And it was just coming on Netflix, easy access. So this is about a kid who is found after a woman is caught doing surgeries to children. And really, I think the point of this, like, the plot synopsis really is just this, like, are psychopaths made or are they born? Right? So we got this like microchip that's been put into someone's head, that's turning him into a psychopath, and you have an Avenger who is out there killing people. And that's really all I can say on it. Overall, I think conceptually, I really, really like what they're doing here conceptually. And I like half of how it's handled. I found the film to be very underdeveloped in a lot of areas. And I honestly probably attribute that to the fact that the director makes like 3 or 4 films a year. And I think that when you're doing that, when you have that much output, I don't think you're putting the time and effort into the crafting of a properly told story anymore. I think you just like, I'm going to shoot it well. I'm going to take an interesting concept and I'm just going to do it real quick. And then I'm just going to get on to the next thing. And this just kind of has that feel to me. It's like, yeah, it's made by a competent director. He's definitely making better films than most bigger named directors, especially genre directors, are later in their career. Now, he's in his like early 60s. I think he's like 64, 63. But if you look at like John Carpenter or Wes Craven or, any of the big name directors, George A. Romero or whatever, when they were at the end of their career, when they were making their last films, Dario Argento, the quality of their films just inarguably drop, like pretty exponentially. And I feel like the quality of his films technically still work pretty well. I think that he's still putting out like good stuff, but they just don't have the punch that something like an Itchy the Killer, an Audition has, that's going to make them memorable, that's going to make them stand out, that's going to really like add to his filmography, his legacy, that's like, oh, remember like his fantastic films. I think the last great movie he made, from what I've seen, was 13 Assassins. And that was real late in his career. I think that was, in fact, his 100th film. But I just felt like this one, there were so many areas where I was like, ooh, that's super interesting. The killer, and just the whole question of like the psychopath. And I don't want to say too much about that, but they deal with somebody God, it's hard
to talk about that. Spoilers for sure.
But our main character that we follow, he's dealing with something here that I find to be fascinating.
Yeah.
And I find it's done well. I think it's done well enough. But could it have been much better? Yes. Could we have explored this theme much better? With the killer and the detective and their main character and the other characters that are surrounding them and the story that's the backstory and all that stuff. It's all handled well. It's just not handled wonderfully. Yeah. To where I'm like, damn, this is so good. It's just kind of like, yeah, this was good. This was interesting. This had unique ideas that I haven't seen explored much. I didn't hate my time with it. It looks good. But in the end, I'm kind of like, just there's so much more I feel like this could have done to stand out.
Yeah, I feel kind of like mostly blah on it. I think it's fine, but it's definitely not a super memorable movie. I do agree with you. I think probably the most interesting thing is the kind of like stuff that they do with psychopaths or whatever. But I just felt like that was kind of it was kind of all over the place for me. Like, I don't feel like it was gone into enough, and it's kind of a longer movie, so that also, you know, obviously when you don't super enjoy a film, kind of drags on when it's longer. So that I was experiencing some of that during this film. You know, it's a very, like, standard kind of crime thriller movie in terms of how it looks. Like, I didn't find that there was any fantastic cinematography. The color grading is, like, that really basic, like, dark gray, like, wash over everything. And I also, like, one thing that I really hated was the sound design. There's a few moments in the film where there's music that is, like... It feels like it's edited wrong. It feels like it's like, but I don't know if it is because it happened a couple times and like maybe it's on purpose, but I did not like the way it sounded.
It's like the song like abruptly ends, then like there's a 2 or 3 second pause, and then we get like 1 extra second of a random clip of the part of a song where it's just like, and then it just stops again, and then you don't hear it anymore.
Yeah.
It's very, very bizarre.
I didn't like it. But even
I don't think it's on purpose.
Yeah. In general, too, I wasn't really a fan of, like, the music and sound design overall.
It might be Netflix's, like, upload. Might have had some corrupted data on it or something. But it doesn't glitch.
No, the
rest of the
visuals
sound
don't glitch.
Doesn't also cut out.
Yeah.
It's just the music.
It's really weird. I don't know. I didn't like that at all. And, like, as far as the characters go, I just felt, again, kind of blah on all of them. I don't know. I didn't feel like we got... For as long as the movie was, I didn't feel like I super got to know any of them. And the main character, even, I think, because of, like, the way he is, it's also hard to connect to him. But I don't know. I just didn't really vibe with anybody. And that... kind of takes some of the gut punches like out whenever you're watching some type of movie where people's lives are at stake, or you know there's consequences to be had. I think you kind of need to connect emotionally, and that doesn't necessarily mean empathizing with the character. Like, you can connect to a character through your like hatred of them, you know. And I also didn't feel that, and I feel like if any emotion was going to be really capitalized on, it probably would have been that one. But as it was, it just felt very kind of boring, honestly. So I wasn't a big fan of this one.
Yeah. I'm not much above you on that.
Yeah.
I just think that our main character, there's some very interesting things going on in here. And I felt like towards the end, when we get more out of him from the story, I was like, that's kind of devastating. But is it fully earned at that point? Not really. It was just more of the exploration of that concept where I was like, oh man, yeah, like that's devastating. That would work so well if we would have built this up more.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
It just feels like missed opportunity after missed opportunity, because I do think that this is something that could be done super well. And as far as like our Lumberjack the monster here, the design of the look of the killer, not a big fan of it. I thought it was going to be something else from the poster and from what I saw. And, I thought it was going to be, an actual monster, not just a mask. And I found the mask to be kind of silly. And as all of like what ends up with the killer and all of that stuff, like, just how that all plays out and the motives and all that, it's kind of just like the way you set this up, it just doesn't have that emotional impact that you're wanting it to have. And it should. Yeah. It should hit. And as I said, I think if they hired a different director who wasn't booking 3 other films that year, they would have looked at this and gone, okay, we need to rewrite this. We need to, let's conceptualize this a little more fully fleshed out. And I think there's something that could be special here. And it just isn't. It just isn't. So, overall, I don't think it's a terrible movie.
It's not.
It's watchable, but it's not a big recommendation or anything. I think if you're like a completist of this director, then of course check it out. It's on Netflix. It's easy to watch, but it's not his best effort. But it's a hell of a lot better than like John Carpenter's The Ward or like Dario Argento's Dracula 3D or something like that. Like, dude, he's definitely making better films, but they're not amazing. They're not like where he used to be. So I think maybe he needs to focus on making maybe 1 movie a year again and just kind of figure out how to make, I don't know, a fully realized film. But that's his prerogative. He can do whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah.
All right. So let us know if you watch it. And as I said, once again, on Netflix, at your own peril. Let us know.
Bye. Bye.